What's going on, guys? I am so freaking excited y'all are here. And we have such a nice, intimate group here. I had no idea who was going to show up for this because I literally was shaving like an hour ago. And I was like, we're just going to hang out because I feel so excited about what's happening right now in my business. And I just want to share this with you. So pumped that y'all are here. Evelyn, Maya, Terry, Rin, Guy, Wit. So pumped. Carrie, yeah, great to see you guys. So I want to make this like super casual and chill, and I just feel like this past week in particular has been just like a mind blowing week for me as an entrepreneur. And there have been so many things about marketing that I feel like I'm tapping into and discovering. And my intention for this was really just to share that because I want to give you guys like what's the brain blast, what's the thing that has totally changed the game for me. Um, so what we're gonna do is I actually don't really have like a super solid plan for this. This was just something I felt inspired to do about an hour ago. But what I'm thinking is I'd love to share with you just kind of like a high level overview of what's been going on, what some of those insights are. Just walk you through what's been going on behind the scenes for me and my business about basically what's been happening over the past year or so, and particularly over the past few months. I'll walk you through some of those shifts. And then I would love to open things up and we can just have a conversation about marketing and whatever is feeling alive for you guys right now, whatever questions you have, whatever's feeling like crunchy or unclear, you're just like, hey, I really need some help with this. We can just dive into that together and make this as interactive as possible and casual as possible. Um, yeah, I'm just really pumped. And so, yeah, we don't have a super big group, which is awesome. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat so we can just kind of go back and forth and talk through this. And if there's insights, questions y'all have as I start walking through this, just pop them into the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. And then later on, when we dive into questions and things like that, we can open things up, and I can have y'all on mute, and we can make it a little bit more interactive. I always like to preface that because, when I first started doing webinars, I would have like 150 people on a webinar, and there was usually like always one person that would have their like mic on mute or unmute, and they'd be like screaming to their husband in the in the back room, and it would be like the middle of like a live training. I was just about to like start pitching, and someone would come in and they'd be like, Martha, Martha. So that's why we do the meet thing, although I like keeping it a little bit more casual. So all right, let's dive in. So uh if you've been in my world for a while, you've been following me, you know that the past year for me and my business has just been this massive reboot. I've been an entrepreneur for close to 20 years. I've been a business coach and a mentor for close to 5 years now. And last year, coming into last year, I had built a super profitable, successful business. It was doing over $500,000 a year in sales. I'd signed over 2,000 clients at that point. Everything on paper looked great. And yet, inside, I started feeling this pull and this call to something more. And I knew for me that meant working with a different clientele. At the time, we were running a large group program called Accelerator. I felt the call to shut that down. I also felt the call to move from, we were living in Denver at the time, to up here in Boulder. And all of this happened actually off the back of this retreat that I went to. I have a mentor I work with. His name's Scott Oldford. And he talks about this idea. One of the things he shared with me was this idea of it's basically an exercise or a visualization exercise you can do, where you close your eyes and you imagine your life on a scale of 1 to 10. You imagine like your current reality, your current life that you're living right now is a 5 out of 10. And then you can go up to level 7 and you can visualize what level 7 looks like. So maybe if your current reality is a level 5, this is something you can do. I would encourage you to do. You just close your eyes maybe at the beginning of the day and you imagine like, what if this reality is level 5, what does level 7 look like? And just feel into it. And where am I living, and what kind of business do I run? How much money do I make? And you start imagining what that looks like. And what I started realizing was, as I was doing this work, everything in my life was really being called to shift. in congruence with this new identity of level 7 that I was now living into. So I started asking myself, what kind of clients would level 7 work with? And what kind of business would level 7 run? And what kind of home would level 7 live in? And I started asking these questions and living into this level 7 self. And all of these things started shifting and changing in my business. And so we moved, we shut down. I mean, it was a massive process of evolution and really a death and rebirth on the deepest level. This is not easy work to do, and it sounds like on the surface, it's like, oh yeah, I just visualize my new life and then I manifest it. No, in reality, whenever you change something in your life, whenever there's a shift in your life, there's an identity that evolves. There's a death. There's a death, and then there's a rebirth. And the death and the void in the middle between the death and the rebirth is particularly challenging. So, anyways, we shut down. I basically shut down the existing business that I had, which was about like an 80% drop in revenue. This was corresponding to me moving into this beautiful multi-million dollar home here in Boulder. Our rent like tripled. And I was like, okay, I'm living my level 7 life. I'm in the void. I'm holding the frequency of what I'm stepping into. My reality does not reflect this yet. And the first 6 months or so of me living in Boulder were really this tension of like, okay, we're kind of building a new business. Like I'm starting over. And it was painful. It was really challenging. It was a big like mindset challenge for me, to be very honest. Like there was a lot of doubt initially. There was a lot of fear that came up for me in that as I was really learning to hold this new identity of this entrepreneur that I was stepping into. And I would say probably about 6 months ago, things really started stabilizing and shifting. And what's so cool about this work, and I talk about identity quite a bit when I work with entrepreneurs, is, and this will all tie into marketing. We'll get back to marketing, but it really has everything to do with marketing, because marketing is really just embodiment. It's really just who you are, broadcasted through your content and your messages and so as I'm stepping into this identity, there's this death. The old business is falling apart. There's this void in the middle, and then things really start stabilizing. And I started realizing there was all this stuff that was coming up for me around marketing. As I started shifting into this new identity, I realized that the business that I had built in the past was really built off this paradigm, which is probably the way that, if you're here, probably the way that you were taught how to market. It's the way that I taught people how to market for most of my journey as an entrepreneur and as a business coach. And basically the idea is you've got a niche, and your whole business is basically centered around them. So, people will tell you like the first thing to do is you got to figure out how your people are, right? You got to choose a niche. And then from there, you got to create all sorts of content and messaging that's centered around their pain points and what they want. And so this was how I was taught how to build a business. And it worked. I mean, I signed over 2,000 clients. I made almost $2 million online through following this methodology. But as I started shifting into this new identity, I realized that on a deep level, what it felt like was this way of marketing my business felt like it started to become too small for who I was. And what I started to feel like was this whole model is actually just a performance. Because when you're marketing from the outside in, basically, what's my niche? Let me figure out what kind of content to create to get them to buy from me. Everything you do is filtered through this lens of conversion and performance. And the entire business becomes basically this act of you're trying to be something that you think you need to be for somebody else. That works at a certain level of consciousness. And then if you're growing and you're evolving, and maybe you already feel like that doesn't feel right to you. Like, I don't know that it ever fully felt aligned for me. I just didn't know that there was a better way. You start to feel like, okay, well, at least for me, I felt like this was like a prison. It felt like it was a box that was too small for me. I was like, I want to be who I am. I want to express and radiate from my own truth. I don't want to build this business based on what I think I need to be for somebody else. What would it be like if I actually just dropped this model completely? And is there a new way of marketing? Is there a way of showing up in my business where I could feel fully aligned and congruent with who I am? And rather than expressing and creating from this place of what I feel like I need to be for somebody else, what would it be like if I just dropped all that and spoke my truth, spoke my own authentic, expressed truth, what's alive for me, what's real for me. So I have a mentor, Scott Oldford. I talked about him earlier. He talks about the difference between a personal brand and an energetic field. Most conventional marketing will teach you how to build a personal brand. And again, the personal brand is the model that we just talked about. It's outside in. It's who's my niche? What kind of content do I need to get them to convert? And everything is basically created. You create this persona that's really built around somebody else and what they need in order to feel safe buying from you. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that that's bad or wrong. It does work. But I think particularly for folks who maybe you're here, you're like, I want to build my business from a deeper place. I want to feel like marketing is my own lived, embodied truth. I want to feel like I can be who I am, like marketing is effortless, like I don't have to contort myself into this box for somebody else. The shift to an energetic field and running a business from this mindset, and we'll talk about what this actually looks like. And this is Scott's terminology. I think it's really good. It just captures the contrast and really what I've stepped into. This is the move. And so as I started letting go of this idea of like, well, maybe my business isn't about someone else. Maybe it's about me becoming fully radiantly who I am and being fully expressed in my truth and actually creating this energetic field that other people can experience and feel magnetized to. And so instead of asking myself this question, what do I feel like I need to create for somebody else to convert? What I started asking was, what feels aligned? What feels exciting? What feels alive for me? I started launching masterclasses and workshops. In the old model of a personal brand, like if you've been to some of my workshops maybe last year, like the type of content that I was putting out was like how to get clients, here's the 3-step model to get clients. Because I did a bunch of market research and I was like, well, most of my niche, they need help getting clients. So let me create these workshops around that. So everything was created around this. But when I dropped this model and I started asking myself, what am I actually excited to share? Like what feels like it's actually being called to come through me? The last 2 workshops I've ran, they were aligned and resonance. If you've been to those workshops, you've watched the replays, you know that the energy felt completely different. And why did it feel completely different? Well, it felt completely different because I wasn't sharing from this place of performance. I wasn't creating from this place of here's what I feel like I need to say in order for you to buy from me. I was like, I'm living into this resonance thing. I have never had more people reach out to me. I've never had more people DM me and send me emails and apply for my programs, literally ever in my entire business. And I'm living into this idea of this is what it looks like when you market from a place of resonance. So I'm so excited about this. Let me just share this. Let me share this, not because I feel like I need to get anything, but because I'm actually excited to offer this. And so content becomes creative expression. Content becomes something that is actually motivated not from this place of what do I feel like I need to say in order to get something from someone, but what do I feel called to share? There's this deeper intuitive flow in life. There's this sense that something is wanting to come through us. And when we get out of the way, when we're not trying to perform or convince or persuade, or marketing isn't like we don't over intellectualize the process of showing up and marketing ourselves online, what we're left with is our own authentic creative truth. And that is the thing that becomes magnetic. So when you are building from this place in your business, you realize that the most important thing is actually not trying to get somebody to buy through converting, quote unquote, through the messaging, through trying to say the perfect words. It's you actually create a field, you create content, you create emails, it doesn't matter how you communicate. The medium is secondary to the actual feeling that somebody gets when they engage with you. And the feeling is your life force. It's the energy that comes through you when you are allowing yourself to become a channel, when you are allowing yourself to be expressed from a deeper place, from a deeper truth, when you set aside this idea of needing to be something for somebody else, you literally become radiant. So This is what an energetic field looks like. This other shift that I had, I started realizing because in the old model, the old paradigm of personal brand, people would talk about positioning and messaging, and these things are important. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not like I'm saying this model is bad and this model is good. It's like things are useful to kind of contextualize in this model, but what I've really learned, and this took me a long time to figure out. I've been marketing online for close to 20 years now. I've literally helped over 1,000 entrepreneurs, and there are still things like this is something that recently has like really become clear to me after doing all that work. So I've been in the trenches for a long time, but I think one of the biggest things that trips entrepreneurs up is we're so focused on strategy. Like we're sold basically the story that strategy is the most important thing. And strategy is like, okay, what's the platforms? Where am I showing up? What's the message? What's my positioning? People get so obsessed with this stuff. What's my niche? And all this stuff is up here. The truth is that marketing is 5% strategy and 95% energy. The most important thing is actually not that you have the perfect message or the perfect niche. You can do really well in business and not even have a niche. Actually, your niche can be you. That's like when you're building an energetic field, your niche actually is you. It's your frequency, it's your energy. It's not that you have I help six-figure entrepreneurs go to seven figures. You could have that, but in reality, the energetic field model of business is actually more about you become a magnet to the right people who are meant to work with you when you become fully radiantly self-expressed as who you are. And the right people, the people who are meant to work with you, those are the people who are going to find you when you allow them to feel you in your business. So most people are focused on strategy when in reality, that's 5% of what it actually takes to create success in business. And the truth is 95% of success in marketing is really about energy. It's, can I feel you? When I started optimizing for this in my marketing, which is rather than trying to obsess over the perfect message and, oh my God, is my positioning right? And is every word created to hit them, to meet their pain points and desires and speak? This is how people teach marketing, right? This is exhausting. So it's like you sit down and you create a piece of content. You're so in your head trying to get everything right. And then the content feels dead. It's like no one can actually feel you. No one can feel your energy because you're so cut off from yourself because you're so up here trying to get everything right. When all of that's not there, what happens is you can show up in a way where there's this flow of energy, there's this authentic expression that comes through, and that allows somebody else to actually feel you. And the feeling that somebody gets when they're around you is what makes them want to come closer to you. It's not that you have the perfect words. It's not that you capture the perfect thing in the way that they need to hear it it's when they experience a piece of your content or read an email, there's something that they feel like you're just embodied in something. There's this radiant energy. There's something that's coming through you that feels alive. That is the magnetism. That is what creates the feeling that somebody wants to come closer to you. And of course, there's practicality to, having a strategic component to it. But I think most of business is so focused on strategy. Like my conception of strategy today is it's really just scaffolding. Like you need to have some strategy in your business. If you don't have strategy, it's like you got a river without the banks. The river is going to overflow and it's going to be like, it's going to flood the town, right? So the strategy is important. I don't want to discount that. But the truth is the life force in your business, the actual thing that's magnetic, that makes people want to go like, I want to buy from you, I want to send you money, is not the strategy. It's you. It's your energy, it's your life force, it's your magnetism. It's the thing that's coming through you when you hold the strategy very lightly, when the strategy just becomes this kind of light scaffolding around you in your business so that you have enough of it so you're not kind of like a river without the banks, but the river is the magnetism. And I think most people, it's like we're so focused on the banks, we forget about the river. And then we wonder why our marketing feels dead and people can't feel us. So the shift from strategy to energy, from Does this make sense? Do I have the right message? Is my positioning right? Do I know what my niche is? To what's feeling alive for me? What do I feel called to share? What wants to come through me? What do I feel like is aligned and excited for me to offer in this moment? What feels like this thing that I just want to express and create because I feel excited about it, because I want to share it, not because it feels like an obligation or something I have to do, or I'm afraid that if I don't launch this thing that I'm not going to get my needs met. This is how 95% of people operate in business. It's fear is another way of putting it. We're afraid we're not going to make enough money. We're not going to get enough clients, or we're approaching this from lack, right? It's like, okay, I don't have the clients I want. So let me go out there, create the content that's going to get the clients. You imagine you went on a date with someone and you were like, I really want to be in a relationship. So you go out on this date and you hold that frame. Have you ever been on a date with someone like that? They're like, I really want to be in a relationship. You can feel the neediness of it. It's like not very attractive. They're like nodding along to everything you're saying. Most of the reason marketing doesn't work is because it carries that undertone. It's everything you create from this performance. And again, this goes back to this concept of a personal brand. When you create your marketing around what you think someone else needs to hear in order to buy from you, you carry that subtle energy of neediness in everything that you post. It just is not attractive. It's not magnetic. So what would happen if you let go of that? What would happen if you started creating from this deeper place? What would happen if you let go of this belief that the message and the positioning and the niche and the language and the words and trying to get it all right was the thing that actually make people want to buy, and realize that actually it's just me. It's me being fully expressed as myself. It's actually the simplest thing. This is the simplest thing. What I'm discovering at this chapter of my business, this is coinciding with just seeing this flood of people who are reaching out to me, is that marketing has never felt easier. Marketing has never felt easier. I feel like I show up, I speak what's alive for me, I share from this place of excitement. I feel like I could do this all day. I'm so excited right now, even just offering this and sharing this. Like, there's no part of me that even feels like this is work. The reason I wanted to do this morning was because I literally was like, if you saw my story I posted on Instagram this morning, I was literally like halfway through shaving. I got my mom coming later today. So I was like, that was probably a good idea to shave because it's been a couple days. And I'm like halfway through shaving. And I'm like, oh, you know what would feel really exciting is just to like share this right now. I feel like this is really hitting for me. I want to be able to share this with my community. Let me just run an impromptu live Zoom. So I literally like grabbed my laptop. I was like halfway through shaving. I just grabbed the laptop, type out a quick email, and that's why you're here. And now we're having this experience. That's what marketing can be. There's this intuitive flow. There's this form of expression that just feels light and easy. And that's what happens when we drop the performance. That's what happens when we drop all these layers of feeling like we need to be something for our niche and audience and all these formulas and rules and all the parts of us that just feel like we got to contort ourselves into this box. It just feels exhausting. My mission at this stage in my journey is I want to help people break free from that. Because the truth is, you're watching this, you're here. This is not about adding anything. This is not about changing you into something more than you already are, or trying to fix you. This is literally just about letting go of all the layers, all of the beliefs, of all the stories that you've been told about what marketing needs to be, and actually realizing that at the end of the day, all it's really about is you being fully self-expressed as who you already are, showing up in a way where you can be yourself, allowing others to experience that and feel you, and then creating pathways for people to buy from you. That's it. That's it. It's the simplest thing ever. And why does it feel hard? Well, it feels hard because we make it hard through all these beliefs and stories about what marketing needs to be. So, personal brand to an energetic field. This has really been the shift that I've been making in my business. And what I'm finding is it's so much easier. It's so much more fun. The other thing that's really cool about this is, when you start showing up, just really speaking into what's alive for you, you start attracting really aligned clients. the people who have been reaching out to me lately, I've never had people that I've felt more connected to on a soul level. Just like, you're amazing. You're so cool. Me and Evelyn had a call the other day. I'm like, she's awesome. I love what you're doing. I love the work you're up to. I'm like, this is so cool. You know, I get to be myself. And by being fully expressed as who I am, I become a magnet for the perfect people. So many entrepreneurs I mentor, the thing I hear from folks is I want to attract those aligned clients, the people who I'm just like, I love working with them because they're like truly meant for me. When you show up in this way, when you start sharing more from this deeper place of who you are, when you drop the performance, what happens is you literally create resonance with the people who you're meant to work with. Business becomes this beautiful thing where people come together who are meant to come together. You end up filling your client roster with people who are just like the perfect fit to work with you, and it's so much fun, and it feels so easy, and it feels sustainable. There were many years in my business where I attracted clients, but I wouldn't say that they were like the most soul aligned clients. There were clients who saw that I could help them with a surface level problem, and they came to me because they wanted help with that problem. Because all my marketing was I was showing up and I was basically like, "Hey, are you struggling with this? And do you want this? And well, here's how I help people with this, and here's a bunch of testimonials that show you that I can actually help you with this." And that is an important part of marketing. And don't get me wrong, but if there's no humanity in it, if there's no you being expressed in your marketing, if everything is essentially an act of performance based on what you think you need to say for somebody else to convert, then you don't allow people to feel you. And so we wonder why we attract clients that, it's like maybe they're fine, or maybe they're not fine. Maybe you're looking at your business right now, you're like, I don't really like the clients I'm working with, or I want to attract people who are more aligned with me. This is how you do it. You show people who you are. And you show people who you are by letting go of performance, letting go of the parts of you that are trying to be something for somebody else, and just allowing you to be fully expressed as you really are, which is the simplest thing. It's the simplest thing. So, in short, personal brand to an energetic field. Energetic field is about people feeling you, about creating not from obligation, not from this desire to convert, not from this place of how do I say the right thing to get someone to buy, but what feels exciting, what feels alive, what feels aligned, what do I want to share? Realizing that the feeling is the most important thing. That when someone feels you, when you create content, when you create from a place where you allow your energy to come through, because that's 95% of what it actually takes to build a successful business, to attract aligned clients. It's not about the strategy. The strategy is nice. It's scaffolding. We need it. Don't get me wrong. But ultimately, the thing that's actually going to create that moment where someone goes, yes, you're my person, is not strategy. It's energy. And when you're creating from your own authentic truth, when marketing feels light and easy because you're not trying to perform, you get to be who you really are. You get to share what's alive for you. You attract these beautiful, aligned people who want to work with you. Marketing feels easier. It becomes this flywheel. You just want to keep showing up in your business because it feels so good. You want to keep doing it. And that is what I believe to be the future of business. A form of business, a form of marketing that feels sustainable, that's regenerative. It doesn't feel like it zaps your life force, but feels like it feeds you, feels like it fills you. That's what I want for you. That's why I wanted to hang out with you today and share this with you. So what I want to do is hopefully that gives you like a high level overview. I want to answer some questions. So if you got questions about marketing, something specific about how this landed for you, why don't we go ahead and do this? Because we do have a small group. I'm just going to ask that you can share in the chat if you feel more comfortable with that, if you want to ask questions there, or if you just want to raise your hand, like the Zoom hand, or raise your hand in some way that I can see you. I'll unmute you, and we can do that. I don't think I can see everyone on the screen here, so let me see here. I'm going to do my best. Okay, let's start with Evelyn. What's up, Evelyn?
Hello, Jason. Hello, everyone. That's very, very interesting. And I have a question on what happened for me today. And I would love to have.
Okay. I can hear you now. Sorry, Evelyn. Can you repeat what you just said? Because I didn't hear a word of it.
I say, hello, Jason. Hello, everyone. So good to be with all of you. Those are very, every word is really, for me as well, the future of the business. And I have a very specific question about copying. How you are dealing with people that follow your content that copying you. So I know that they cannot copy who I am.
Yeah.
They cannot copy my vibration
Mhm.
because I am unique and it's my own identity. However, I have a customer that I haven't worked with for 1 year, and she's intensively following me.
Yeah.
And every post, everything I am posting with all my full authenticity and without really holding myself, I can see that it's like a space for her to launch her own program with the same word, with the word she wasn't using before.
Mhm.
And I know that this is something important because I am really, as you, holding a space for my community to express who they are.
Yeah.
And here it's there's something not matching, and I don't know how to react on a very leadership way.
Yeah.
Could be empowering for me and for also the industry. And
Yeah.
this is something very important because it's also the vibration. It's also the the way to circulate who I am and to and in a way that in something like that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. So I think there's so much to say on this. I think the first thing is like, it's interesting to notice, like, if I was coaching you, I'd probably like we'd dive deeper and we'd see like what's coming up for you around this, and we'd probably do some work on this because I've had clients that this comes up. It's quite common, to be honest, and we've seen it. And like when I was running my group program, we had some issues and situations and things happen. I think there's a couple things. So first of all, I remember when I was a kid, and I had this friend. His name was Ryan. He lived around the corner from me. And Ryan was like I really looked up to him. He was kind of like a bad boy. He was like, he would like, he did a lot of, he would like wear black, with like these shirts with these like cool slogans on them. And I was just trying to like find myself, I don't think I knew that at that time, but I was trying to figure out like who I was. And so I remember going out and I bought the same shirts as him and I dressed like him and I started talking like him. And there was this chapter in my journey before I actually discovered and really became comfortable with who I am that I was like looking out there and I was saying, "Oh, I really feel drawn to this person." And there's a period of time where I was like modeling who they were as a way. It was like a stage of my journey to get to my own authentic truth. And so I think it's important to know, and I see this a lot, like with clients that I work with. Like it's just normal that when you're a leader, when people are following you and engaging with you and you're holding a certain frequency that people really resonate with, you're going to see that it's just a normal part of someone's evolutionary process and where they are in their journey. I think it's just honoring it. Like there's nothing wrong here. It's like, look, someone can't copy who I am. It's exactly what you said. Like my energy, my frequency, who I am. By the time I post something, it's already like past. It's already like old energy. So I'm moving so quickly in my business. I'm expressing and creating so much that I don't even think about it. I'm like, cool. If you want to copy me, great. Like go copy all my posts. Like that's not the thing that's actually going to get you clients. It's you being you. But if someone's not there yet and they haven't fully anchored into their own authentic truth and voice, I think the first thing is just like celebrating them for the stage that they're at in their journey. Because there's always that. It's like, what lens do we look at it through? Do we judge it? Do we say, oh, that's like something wrong? Or do we just see it as like, hey, look, she's showing up, she's doing her thing, and maybe the stage that she's at right now is like she's trying on different versions of expressing herself through you. And that's a like humbling thing. It's like, wow, I can celebrate that too, because there's a part of me that I was like, wow, I feel humbled by that, that someone respects me enough and feels magnetized to me enough that they wanna copy me. And I think from a leadership standpoint, this is where you ask that question like, okay, how do I navigate this as a leader? I think this is where if you have a space where you can do that work, like if she's a client of yours or something like that, it would be having that conversation and saying like, hey, I celebrate you for how you're showing up. It's really cool to see all this content. And I'd love to explore with you if you're open to it. Like, tell me a little bit more about, like, what your authentic truth is and, like, what you feel like you wanna express, and how do we like, let's kind of help you anchor into, like, what your own authentic truth is because, I think that that's the thing that's gonna be most magnetic and most attractive, for your people. And so you can do that work with people if there's a space for it. But I think it starts when it comes from that place of love and it comes from that place of someone feeling like you're not judging them or looking at them as like, oh, you're copying me, but more so like, hey, this is awesome that you're showing up and let's kind of build the next chapter of what you're doing in a way that feels more like who you really are. So does that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice way to open to new possibility on that. So and it's really amazing, and I feel that maybe it will be also a nice way to create a content on that about being who we are and being the most our true the authentic self.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So yes, it could be something to just send a new way to relate with on the public space too. So,
absolutely. Love that. Thanks for sharing, Evelyn. All right. What else we got, guys? And just a reminder, if you have a question, you can just raise your hand or you can type it in the chat. Whatever whatever works best. Agency says, what are your thoughts on strategy with early bird pricing, super early bird pricing, doubling price, other strategic pricing? I feel tired of this and that's inauthentic in my body. Well, you have your answer. I think the truth is there's nothing wrong with those things, but the question I would ask is what's the intention behind them? Like what is driving the desire to do the early bird pricing or all these different pricing shifts? Is it coming from this place of I feel like I have to do that, or if I don't do that, then I'm not going to get enough clients? The same strategy can actually be motivated from two very different energies. And the most important thing is the energy that's behind the strategy. It's not the actual strategy itself. So the question I would ask you, agency, is like tuning into what is the energy that's behind that, and that will give you your answer. And if you're saying, hey, that feels tired and exhausting and I'm not resonating with it, then full permission to just drop that. And it's like, hey, what feels exciting for me? Like what feels like I want to do? What feels like it comes from this place of overflow, something that I feel called to share and offer, and what feels aligned? And just make decisions from that place. Like let your pricing be a reflection of that. Yeah. Malin says, do you ever need to keep your energy in check? It's an interesting question. I don't know exactly what you mean by in check. I would say that I see it less like in check and more like I'm a human being and I have ups and downs and hard days and easy days. And so I think of it less like I'm trying to keep myself in check and more like, okay, when challenges come up or hard emotions or difficult feelings, how do I allow myself to just experience those things and open to them? I see it less like it's this thing that I'm trying to like control or manage or keep in check, and more so just this feeling of like, okay, when I notice that I have some shame or some guilt or some fear come up, can I be with that? Can I open to it? Can I allow myself to really enter into that experience? And I think most people spend a lot of time trying to control their emotion. And there's this idea, I mean, some people will talk about this in business where it's like you need to be like level-headed or you need to like control your emotions on a sales call or you need to it's this paradigm of force actually. And I think the real way I think for most folks is at a certain point you realize that it's really not about controlling anything. It's really just about allowing yourself to be more comfortable experiencing and feeling all of the different shades of what your energy actually is. So that's my practice, and yeah, I think that's what I would say on that. Ren says, "I'm making lunch, so I'll just stick to the chat and say thank you. Finally, an approach that feels good on all levels." Love that, Ren. Thanks for sharing. Glad this is resonating. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? We can spend a couple minutes. And if not, oh, while we do have questions, if you're really resonating with this too, and you're like, I really want to do this work, I want to shift my marketing. If marketing feels heavy for you, if you're just like, I really want a way of doing this that feels lighter, then it's going to allow me to attract more aligned clients and just do this in a way that feels more like me. Do have a couple spots open right now for one-to-one mentorship. This is for the entrepreneur who's ready to dive deep. I am not like a surface level strategist. I do strategy work, but really the work that I do with entrepreneurs is about helping them build the next chapter of their business from the inside out. And what this looks like is a business that is more congruent with who you really are, about dismantling the deeper layers of performance, the mindsets, the limiting beliefs, the energetic blocks that are holding you back from that next level. Because what I believe is that when you grow, the business grows to match. The business that you have right now is a perfect reflection of who you are on the inside. And so until we change the inside, the outside doesn't change. So I'm obsessed with helping people build wildly profitable businesses from the inside out. And if you're feeling called to that work, I'd love to explore how I might be able to help you on a deeper level. If you go to jasonmoss.com/apply, there's a whole application page there. You could submit that, and that goes directly to me. I'll review it. If I feel like I can help you and it feels like it might be aligned, I'll reach out and we can have a no pressure conversation about what those next steps look like. So that's available to you, jasonmoss.com/apply, if you want to take that next step. Agency says it's like we uncondition ourselves out of cultural norms to become entrepreneurs, to follow our purpose. Then we get reconditioned as entrepreneurs and thinking we have to show up in a certain way. And now it's unconditioning ourselves again to create in a way that's true to ourselves. Yeah, you basically just described the journey of life, Agency. I think most people and I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs at this point. I think most people like want to pursue the path of entrepreneurship because they want freedom. And there's this idea of like, I don't want to be in this box. I want to be like in a 9 to 5 and controlled by like someone else. And then we start a business and we realize that the real thing that's actually controlling us is not someone else, but it's all these beliefs and stories and narratives and fears and things that are in our mind. And so the business becomes this beautiful vehicle to do this inner work. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about business as a path is because what I really get off on is helping people come home to themselves. Like that's the real reason I do this work on the deepest level. It's not just about building a more profitable business or reaching a new income milestone. All that stuff's fun and there's nothing wrong with that. But really on the deepest level, it's who we get to become. It's the freedom that really happens when we heal and when we release the stories and blocks and these things that are holding you back on the inside. The business grows as a result. It's a beautiful side effect. But the real gift is actually the freedom that you feel on the inside. It's being able to wake up and show up every day and just feel like you don't no longer live in a prison of your own making. Business doesn't have to feel hard. Life doesn't have to feel hard. It doesn't have to feel like you're just pushing a boulder uphill all the time. So I think the you hit it on the head, Agency. It's actually not even so much that we are reconditioned as entrepreneurs. It's just that the conditioning that we already have, we get to experience it through the journey of entrepreneurship. And being an entrepreneur and the path of business becomes this beautiful vehicle where we get to wake up through the journey of business. All right. So if there's one or two more questions, we'll take those and invitation to raise your hand or share in the chat, and then we'll close things out. Seth says, how do you approach periods of enrollment where enrollment is very slow from the point of view of working energetically? So the business is always a lagging indicator of your energetic state. And if enrollments are slow, the question is, can you hold the frequency of all your needs being met, of abundance on the inside when the outside doesn't match? This is really hard. It's a hard thing to do. And this year for me, I mean, the first 6 months really when after I made that pivot in our business, I mean, things, oof, again, it was like 80% of our revenue dried up overnight. It took a long time for the business to stabilize. It really did. And now I feel like we are just like, I mean, we're on the path to 7 figures this year. The business is blowing up in this really cool, beautiful way. But what I learned through that chapter is how important it is to hold the frequency of all my needs are met, of abundance, of how would you feel if you had a full calendar of clients, and then showing up and creating from that place. Because most people, the trap that we get into is when it's like a spiral. It becomes a self reinforcing feedback loop because you look at your business, you're like, I don't have enough clients and I feel like crap about myself because I don't have enough clients. And then all of that energy gets infused into your marketing. And then that needy kind of desperate energy actually just repels people even more. And then that reality continues to manifest itself further. And you're like, I don't have enough clients. Then you keep making decisions from that place. You're like, well, I can't hire this team or I can't hire this mentor because I don't have enough clients. And you just contract energetically. And your life becomes a reflection of that contraction. So at a certain point, what needs to shift is you have to go first on the inside. You have to start holding a different energy and a different frequency. You have to lead from a place of all my needs are met. I'm taken care of. I have more than enough. Even if it's not reflected in your reality yet, can you hold what it feels like to actually feel that way? This is not about positive thinking. This is about creating a certain energetic state within you that allows you to become a magnet for something different. And my belief and what I've experienced in my reality is until that shifts, until the inside shifts, the outside doesn't change. Everything we experience in our life is a mirror. It's a perfect match for how we feel on the inside. And so if you don't have the clients you want, if the business isn't generating the revenue, it's really an invitation to look within yourself and ask yourself, how do I feel right now about my business, about myself? Like, am I showing up with the energy of lack? And how can I shift that from the inside? And then the business is just a lagging indicator to that. So you shift, you change, you evolve, you hold a different reality internally, and the outside will change. I think that's the most important thing. It literally it's it. If you do that, you're set. And it sounds simple, but it's actually an incredibly difficult practice. It's a really difficult practice. Yeah, Seth says, makes sense. I feel like I'm in this energy shift right now, but it still hasn't turned the corner just yet. So yeah, this is daily practice for me right now. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and when it shifts from I'm shifting to I am, that's the difference. It's like when you are something, there's no like it's happening or it's shifting. It's literally like I am abundant. All my needs are met. I'm taken care of right now. I have everything. When you start showing up and embodying that energy, which is always an I am, it's not I'm becoming, it's not something's happening. For that first 6 months, after we made that major pivot in my business, I was very much in this energy of like, things are changing and I'm stepping into a new self. It was this energy of transition. It was this belief of transition. It wasn't until I started holding the energy of I've arrived. Everything I have, everything I want is here right now. That's a completely different frequency. And that's the frequency that will actually create something on the outside. Because when you're in transition, when you're holding the energy of like, I feel like I'm turning the corner, it hasn't happened yet, or it's happening, or it's kind of there, but it's not fully there. All these transition states don't actually allow the universe to align itself with what you really want, because you're kind of holding the in between. Agency says, I have to add, thank you so much for being such a breath of fresh, authentic air in the coaching and marketing world. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Agency. John says, I'm currently exploring the idea of starting a business. I'm wondering if you work with individuals who are just getting started, or if your focus is primarily on those who already have established businesses. Cool. Great question, John. So if you would have asked me this question about a month ago, I would have told you we only work with established entrepreneurs. There's another thing that really changed for me. And I'll answer your question directly in a minute, but I want to share this because I think it's a useful thing that I realized as I started making the shift from the personal brand to an energetic field. For a while, I had this idea of like, oh, we're not supposed to work with new coaches and new business owners because I had been doing that work for years. And so we pivoted the business to working with more established entrepreneurs. And then when I started shifting into this energetic field, I realized actually maybe my niche is really not so much about these external qualities. It's not, in other words, it's not so much about like I help six-figure entrepreneurs become seven-figure entrepreneurs. It's more about I work with people at a certain level of consciousness, at a certain frequency. And I realized that these external qualifiers are actually not the most important thing. Because when I look at the clients that have had the best results working with me, the people who I've enjoyed working with the most, it's always people who are at a certain level of consciousness and frequency. It's not necessarily that they're at a certain stage in their business. It's not necessarily that they already are making six figures. Sometimes that's the case, but sometimes they're newer. And so I've had this complete mindset shift over this is relatively recent, and I realized, okay, our business is actually it's not about like having this external set of qualifiers. This is why I think people get so obsessed with the niche, but it's actually really not the niche. When you're building an energetic field, you are the frequency and you create this frequency that other people magnetize to. So to answer your question in a very short way, because that was like a long-winded explanation, but it might be useful for people. Yeah, John. So we currently are working with newer entrepreneurs as well. And so the most important thing is just like energetic alignment to me. So yeah, if you want to submit an application, I'm happy to explore that with you on a deeper level, and we can see if it's a fit. And if you're feeling like you want to take that next step, you just go to jasonmoss.com/apply. You can submit an application and we can explore. Evelyn says, "Oh, this so resonates with me. It's not about the external tribute, but about the conscious." I love this. Yeah, this is like a huge shift for me because I realized for years I was like, okay, there are certain clients I really love working with, certain clients who are more challenging. And initially I had this idea. I was like, oh, well, maybe it's because the more established business owners are just easier to work with. And so we made that shift, and I started working with a lot more established entrepreneurs. And what I realized was there were some entrepreneurs who were like already making six figures or more than that, multiple six figures. And some of them were great to work with, and some of them weren't. And I was like, what is it? What is the actual thing? And I realized it was actually this energetic alignment. It was if someone's at a certain level of consciousness, they're at a certain frequency, that's when we can do great work together. And so I'm meant to work with people who are at a certain range of their own energetic frequency. It's not so much that they need to be at this certain external stage in their life. And so I hope this is a big shift for maybe, if you're watching this where you're like, I need to get my niche perfect. I need to perfectly figure out exactly who I'm here to serve. Actually, no. No, when you're building an energetic field, that's not where you come from. It's more like I attract at a certain frequency. Yeah. So anyways, hopefully that's helpful. And thanks for the question, John. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up because I'm going to go grab some lunch with Kimberly. And we got my mom coming in later today. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to spend the weekend together, and she's flying in from California. So I hope this was helpful. And I'm just grateful and super just excited to be walking this journey with you. I feel like one of the gifts about a business like this, and one of the gifts about running a more energetic field type of model, is that you just get to share and create from this place of here's what's alive for me. Here's what I'm living right now in my life. This is not just like theory. This is something that I'm walking through as an entrepreneur. And so what I'm so excited about is just getting to offer that and share that with you, because these are shifts that I'm making right now. I'm seeing the results and the impact, and I'm just super pumped that y'all are here and we get to hang out and I get to share those things with you. So thank you for your presence today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. Again, if you want to dive deeper, you know where to reach me, jasonmoss.com. You can submit an application there. And either way, I'm rooting for you. So have an awesome rest of your week, and I hope to see y'all soon. Take care.